Good evening, Arkansas. And first off, a big woo pig to the Razorback basketball team this evening for their win over Florida. And secondly, thank everybody for joining us on this Tuesday evening. As last time we came to you, we were talking severe weather.
Yep.
And we actually did see a few warnings as well. Very much a slight risk where a few warnings here and there, and not too many. We were blessed overall that event did not come through during the middle of the afternoon. Now our attention has turned to winter weather, and as expected, once again, guidance has trended colder, as we also talked about when we came to you on Sunday.
Definitely, guys. So if you're just now tuning in, we got over 1.2 thousand viewers on this live stream. We appreciate each and every one of you guys for trusting us as your number one Arkansas weather source here. So to kind of reiterate this map here, I know everyone's going to have questions about what's going to be happening over the next day or so. We're going to get into guidance. We're going to talk about everything, and then we're going to answer you guys' questions and help you guys get prepared for what could be a long next 48 hours across Arkansas here. So this is what the map looks like at this moment. Now, I want to kind of address this map a little bit, okay? As Derek just mentioned, guidance is starting to trend further and further and further south, which means that if trends hold, this may come down a little bit, okay? However, right now, southern Arkansas, cold rain. This is pretty much a given down there in southern Arkansas unless the colder air gets here quicker. Okay, you start talking towards central Arkansas now. Now we're talking about the potential of rain / freezing rain here. Now, as I said before, guidance is coming in much colder than they were over the last 24 hours here. We saw with the cold front today, the temperatures were coming in a lot colder than what guidance had. So what does that mean for us here in central Arkansas? That could mean that the potential of ice is becoming more likely for us here in central Arkansas versus what we were thinking about 24 hours ago. Now, farther to the north, Derek, I'm going to let you take that one here. Go ahead.
All right, so this is where we're at right now. And now keep in mind, this was made, again, off of our thinking as we went throughout the day. We've been watching this over the last couple of days. Across the Ozark Mountains up into north central Arkansas, into northwest, and even over into parts of the Ouachita. This is where, obviously, the air is expected to be a little bit colder. Ozark's a little bit more deeper than we're going to see down in the Ouachitas, but overall, though, thinking here is that we see more sleet, some snowflakes toward the end, but more sleet than freezing rain, at least towards areas like Jasper, Mountain Home, Harrison, Bentonville, Fayetteville, down towards Fort Smith. See more sleet and a little bit less ice. Now, as you head over towards the eastern part of the winter mix area, and the southern part of the winter mix area, we will be talking about more freezing rain with a little bit of sleet mixed in, not as much as we could see over the Ozarks. Now, that being said, this was tentative upon thinking we're going to have a very deep, warm nose aloft.
Yep, definitely.
The trend over the last 12 to 24 hours has been a little bit colder, and a little bit colder.
Yep.
And surface temperatures at or below freezing, as well as the aloft temperatures a little bit more below freezing than what was currently or expected. So it's going to be something that we're going to have to watch, especially in the area where we have marked freezing rain.
Yep.
Well, I'm fully expecting we're going to have to drop that down to the metro area, down to Hot Springs, Benton area, maybe into parts of Pike County as we go a little bit further. I don't think we see much sleet this far south. However, some guidance is trending towards another sleet storm, similar to what we were talking about a few weeks ago. So it's something we're going to have to watch. I do think we see a little bit more ice out of this compared to what we saw at the last event. A major ice storm is definitely shaping up across much of the Ozark Mountains. And the River Valley, we're going to have to wait and see. I think you're going to be colder than some guidance has shown as well.
Yep.
Would not be shocked to see ice there as well. But again, our winter mix zone is mainly for freezing rain and sleet. In the white zone, snow and sleet, northwest corner of the state. Right now, we're going with mostly sleet with some snowflakes mixing in as we get towards the end. And I would not be shocked to see 2 to 3 inches of sleet in that part of the state.
Definitely. So as I said before, guys, this map was made right around 3 o'clock this afternoon here. And I know we're getting some kind of comments about, are we calling wolf and stuff like that? Nothing's going to happen, etc. Folks, take a look at what happened the last couple of weeks here where we were dealing with the exact same setup where the cold air was coming in, was pouring in a lot quicker, and look what happened. We had majority seeing freezing rain across southern and southeastern Arkansas, sleet across much of the area, and then north Arkansas ended up seeing snow out of this. So, folks, I'm just going to reiterate this as bluntly as possible. If you do not believe us, don't join the live stream, okay? We don't need a negativity here. This is a very, very important live stream. What I would do for you guys tomorrow, especially during the day here, now I'm getting a lot of folks asking about timing, so we're going to go ahead and switch over to computer model guidance here. So let's go ahead and talk about that real quickly here. So this is a high-risk NAM, and we're going to go over the HR as well. But most of the day tomorrow, especially tomorrow morning, you should be in the clear, okay? But what's going to be happening as we get towards tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and especially tomorrow night, that's where you're going to start seeing the winter precipitation really take off across the area. And this is a high-risk NAM, by the way, okay? Much colder than what we were looking at a couple of days ago. Go ahead, dear.
And the concern here, now you notice a lot of the purple's coming in across parts of southern Arkansas.
Yep.
I don't buy that yet. I think NAM might be a little too cold in South Arkansas, but it's a trend worth noting that has been the case all day today.
We're gonna have to watch that.
And we're now within the range that the NAM really starts to depict this type of setup a lot better.
Yep.
Again, the biggest thing to take away here is that temperatures when you're 30, 31, and 32, road conditions are not bad at all. You mainly get ice on exposed objects, your trees, your power lines, some of your bridges and overpasses. But once you drop down below 30 and below is when we start seeing road issues. Then, of course, as we get down into the 20s, that's when it gets a lot worse. Again, for southern Arkansas, I'm still not buying it. We're still going a cold rain there. However, something we're going to have to watch is God just trended down with those highs and lows, just a degree or two over the past couple of days. So once again,
yep.
Go
ahead.
So once again, now where you're seeing the oranges, now this is more of a sleet mix.
Yep. Throughout the day tomorrow here, so you can see what happens here, and this is interesting what the high-risk NAM is attempting to do here. So first and foremost, it's much colder than any other computer model guidance right now here, and I'm gonna have to keep an eye on temperatures during the overnight hours. But this is where it's going to come very, very crucial here. Now, we're going to kind of give you guys a little mini lesson of what's going on in terms of why this is not a snow event here in Arkansas, okay? So, this is your aloft temperatures here, okay? And I know this is in Celsius, but this is your aloft temperature here. So, whenever you see these 0 or negatives, that is at freezing or below. Anything above 0 is above freezing. So, that means your snowflakes are falling. They're turning into rainfall, and then as that rainfall is going through the column and it hits the surface is in the 20s and low 30s. You're below freezing. So when the rain falls, it hits that exposed area and it freezes. That's why it's called freezing rain. So keep that in mind here. However, what the NAM is attempting to do, and something we're definitely going to have to watch first thing tomorrow morning, is something what's called evaporational cooling. And basically what that is that precipitation is going to be falling and your dew points are going to be low. So your dew points are going to be trying to catch us. So most of that precipitation per the high-risk NAM is probably not falling to the ground until later in the day and into the evening as we get more moisture in across the area here. So just kind of keep that in mind here. But that's what the high risk is wanting to do. But that's the reason why you saw the precipitation first thing with the NAM here, was because there's a lot of dry air. It's got to work out first, and then that's when you're going to start seeing the precipitation really going across the area here. And folks, look at this. Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah. And now that's something else we're going to have to watch, as Cameron mentioned, is that evaporational cooling.
Yeah.
Because as your temperatures fall and the dew points rise, that's what we're going to be watching for. Where those two meet will determine to see exactly how cold it's going to be. And again, I know I've seen a lot of people saying it's only going to be a cold rain in Little Rock. You know, time and time again. We've seen this time and time again. Cold rain in Little Rock. Day of, we go into a sleet or freezing rain.
Derek, I'm going to cut you off right there. Folks, if y'all thinking anything against us or anything like that, if you don't believe us, don't join the live stream. Just don't join the live stream. It's no point.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be a cold rain here. Okay, I think the guidance is just, we've been kind of back and forth about it over the last couple of days because guidance has been kind of back and forth. But I do not think it's going to be a cold rain here in Central Arkansas. Something is trending more and more colder, somewhat similar to what we saw with the last event here. Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is that our thoughts have not changed.
Yeah.
We have stuck with it with this idea: central to southwest to northeast Arkansas, ice, strictly ice.
Yep.
Then we go into north central Arkansas. We talk more of a freezing rain and sleet mix with a sleet and maybe some snow on the backside across parts of northwest Arkansas. I see a lot of people talking about the possibility of getting another snow event in northwest Arkansas. I don't see this being a snow event up there.
Yeah.
It's going to be a close call.
Very
our
close
temperatures,
call. Yep.
but the biggest concern, especially for our viewers from southwest to central into northeast Arkansas, are those aloft temps being well above freezing, but our surface temps being at or just below freezing.
Yep.
The temperature is going to be key. 33 degrees, you're fine.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
32, 31 degrees, you start having minor issues. Below 30 is when you're going to have the biggest issues. And guys, it's trending colder. And again, this is
it's literally
in confidence. You know, this has been dealing with multiple winter weather events in this state over the last few years.
Yep.
This has been a very typical situation where guidance starts very, very warm, and by the time we get to the day of, ends up very, very cold. As a matter of fact, real-time trends throughout the day showed our temperatures 5 to 10, upwards of 15, the colder than the actual models were showing. And that's something we have watched all day long, and that is something that is going to play a big role, and has played a big role into the forecast as we go into Wednesday and Thursday.
Right. So, a couple of things to note with the high risk dam that I'm taking a look at here. So, what you're looking at, folks, is the dew point. And basically, what I'm thinking is going on, especially in northern Arkansas, the reason why the high risk dam is further south is because it has a lot of dry air up here in northern Arkansas. It's got a majority of northern Arkansas seeing dry air, so it pushes the precipitation down into central and southern Arkansas. However, it's much colder. So you deal with an ice situation across central, southwestern Arkansas, and northeastern Arkansas. So that's something that we'll have to watch. Honestly, to be completely honest with you guys, I think the high risk dam may be a touch too cold, but definitely something that we're going to have to keep an eye on here as we progress through time. So we're going to jump over to the HRR real quick.
Hold on, before we do that, let's take a look at the accumulations.
Okay.
Because I know this is something everybody's wondering is about accumulation, especially with the freezing rain and the sleet. And now this has been a concern of ours going into this event, is how much ice or sleet could we see. Now, if you're looking at this, you're wondering why is Little Rock not under winter weather advisory. Again, we don't issue those. It's not our choice. Looking at this is technically speaking ice storm warning criteria. Anything over a quarter inch of ice is a ice storm warning criteria. Again, this is something we're going to have to watch. That's why when we posted the warnings map earlier this afternoon, we said changes are still possible. This continues to be the case. As you notice, we've seen this southward trend throughout the day. My concern is that somewhere from Jonesboro to Little Rock to Mena could see over half an inch of ice out of this. Whether it most likely could be the higher elevation, especially of central Arkansas, but I would not be shocked to see those lower elevations see that glazing up to a quarter inch of ice as well, maybe more. I'm not quite ready to say it yet, but I think we could see that shift southward with time.
Definitely, and I feel like this is deja vu because you got to remember earlier on this month, about a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the same setup, talking about the same area seeing freezing rain, etc. So we all know what happened last time. The cold air got here quick, and all this freezing rain turned into sleet. So keep that in mind, okay? Guidance does not do well with Arctic cold air at all. It does not do well with it at all here. You do not want to 100% trust model guidance because it doesn't do a good job with it. Now, I will say there has been one model that has been a brick wall, and it has been consistent over the last 4 to 5 days, and that is the Canadian model. Yep. That's the only model that has been the most consistent throughout this entire thing. So if this happens, then the Canadian model is going to take it home. The Canadian model is going to take the money home with this one.
Let's go look at the sleet on the NAM.
Definitely.
Now, y'all are freaking out about the accumulation on this model. we'll show you something else in a second.
Definitely.
So now this is the sleet. This is sleet on the NAM. Again, it goes with our thinking of where our forecast currently is. Wintry mix across much of northern into northwest into west central Arkansas.
Yep.
You also notice that sleet line coming further south into southwest Arkansas, into south central Arkansas. It's going to be very interesting to see how this sets up. So you're talking right now, just based off this model, not a forecast, quarter and half inch ice plus with upwards of a tenth to quarter inch of sleet. That is enough to, especially if you have temperatures 28 to 30, to have road problem. Not what we had last event, but enough to cause problems. Hence why the winter weather advisory is in effect.
Yeah.
That being said, again, it's not in effect for the Little Rock Metro. I fully expect that to change by the time we get, especially into Wednesday afternoon.
They're going to have a package come out right around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, so I'm pretty sure with the 0Z guidance tonight coming in much colder, I wouldn't be shocked for them to put it out first thing in the morning here. So just kind of keep that in mind, especially for your morning outlook, guys. We will be here keeping you guys informed on that. If any watches or warnings get issued during the overnight hours, we will be here and keep you guys informed on ahead. But if this were to verify, this would be a winter storm warning, by the way.
So let's go and look at the rapid refresh model because this is the one that really caught our eye. This model is typically more of a warmer solution.
Let's talk freezing rain real quick. Okay. And there it is. Okay, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine. And this is a more of a warmer type. Now this is more in line with what the forecast has been. Ozarks, northeast, west central. But notice something. It's come down into the central part of the state.
South,
The reason why you're seeing this is the guidance is picking up on those northeast winds. We talk about this almost every winter weather event. Those winds coming down around the Ozark Mountains, down around Crowley's Ridge, down into the Delta. And what that does is feed the colder air into central Arkansas a little bit sooner.
Yep.
And what that does is prevent parts of western Arkansas from getting in on the action center. Notice the lesser amounts in parts of the river valley. The reason being is the cold air is coming down around instead of coming straight over the mountains. Shallow Arctic air masses do not like competition. Ozark Mountains are competition, so it's going to push around the mountain very slowly and then eventually spill over. This is what we saw with the last event. It spilled over a little bit faster, therefore we saw an increase in sleet and less with snow. Now, camera's going to pull up the sleet amounts. Now you're seeing these 1 and 2 inches of ice.
Which would be crippling ice, by the way. You don't want that. But look at this. By the way, if you get this, which, by the way, I think the HR may be a little bit... Allison, if you're taking a look at this right now, it's got like 6 inches of sleet
I don't buy that.
over Independence County, which I don't buy that. I think that's a little bit off its rockers. But something to keep in mind. If this happens, very, very crippling winter storm in this area, because you're talking 2 inches of freezing rain, by the way. 2 inches of freezing rain on top of 2 to 3 inches of sleet. That is a lot of ice in a short amount of time here in this area if you go with this model. But right now, it's still a wait and see at this point here. But the notable trend is that guidance is trending colder and colder and colder and colder. And that would be insane, by the way. You don't want 6 inches of sleet on top of 2 inches of pure freezing rain. That would be a complete crippling ice storm. Well, that's a crippling winter storm across the area here if you were to go with the HR here. So
there's another concern with this. The Storm Prediction Center has a thunderstorm outlook for all of Arkansas for Thursday.
I can go ahead and pull that up. Give me a second.
And we have a marginal risk now in southeast Arkansas. For Thursday for
hell.
So another thing that we want to mention is as well.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull
this
it up.
Could be the short range guidance could actually be starting to depict what we call convective precipitation. And again, not everybody's going to see that, but some guides has hinted at the possibility that we could see, and I think this is what the HR and the NAM have both kind of started to pick up on, is training areas of potential thunderstorm development as we go throughout the day on Thursday. Now, what that could do is actually increase your precip rates just enough to where some of those 3/4 of an inch up to an inch could actually verify, especially with the amount of rain that we're talking about again. Liquid rain is forecast to be 1 to 3 inches of rain, especially for drought-stricken areas of parts of southern Arkansas. As you go into northeast and north central Arkansas, where we don't need the rain, we're still talking about heavy precip amounts. But this is going to be definitely not a moisture-starved system at all.
Bingo.
But our concern is that some of this guidance is talking is starting to depict that possibility that we could be watching for maybe a thunderstorm or two. If we do see that, I would not be shocked to see those higher amounts actually verify in very isolated spots. It will not cover a wide area, though.
I'm going to show everybody this real quickly here, and this is from the HR. So that's the reason why the HR was showing all those high-end ice totals here. So basically what you're looking at here, folks, and we're going to get to your questions as quickly as we can here, guys. We're trying to get all this information out to you folks here. But basically what you're looking at is what's called the most unstable cape, or the or in some cases what you would call the MU cape values. Basically, this is instability aloft or instability above our heads. This is the type of instability you see for thunderstorm development. Okay. Most cases, keep in mind, about 2 to 3 joules is about enough for just a regular rumble of thunder. Okay. Guidance has almost 1,000 most unstable cape. That is enough for thunderstorms. That's enough for thunderstorms over sub-freezing air, which would mean the potential of thunder freezing rain. That's the reason why the HR is pulling out almost 2 inches of ice and pure freezing rain, by the way, because it has thunderstorms over the area. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, and you do have that marginal risk down there in southeastern Arkansas, so you could have that potential that we're going to have to look at. Okay. But that is the thing that you deal with whenever we're talking about with southwest flow. With this, you got the instability coming in. So something that we're going to keep an eye on here. I knew something was off with the HR when they was throwing out those high-end ice totals here, but I looked and see what was going on here. But that's very, very concerning. You do not want that with that kind of environment we're going to have in place.
For our folks in southeast Arkansas, I fully expect that marginal risk to actually move southeast by the time we get to Thursday. I expect that to shift southeast of the state, because right now it's for damaging winds and large hail. I don't see a severe risk in southeast Arkansas. What I do see are temperatures being much colder than are currently forecast. And actually, our forecast goes along with the potential of colder air working in cloud cover, etc. And even then, still maybe a little bit too warm. I was generous with the temperatures in South Arkansas based on the fact we could see a lot of southerly flow up over the cold air aloft. Now, let's take the radar out. Let's go on and take a look. So we're starting here.
I was going to say, because we got people asking about timing here. So once we go over this, we're going to try to answer some questions too. So this is right around 8 o'clock in the morning here. Now keep in mind, this is just the HR. It's not going to be anything worth noting, because it's not going to be 100% with the radar here. But it does kind of tell you what to look for. Okay, so this is going to be around 10 o'clock in the morning. So in northwestern Arkansas and western Arkansas, you guys are going to get the ball started first thing in the morning. Okay, winter storm warning up there in those areas, so you're going to get the ball rolling first thing in the morning. Okay, and then precipitation is going to build in throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours across central, northeastern Arkansas, north central, and northwestern Arkansas here. But the concerning part, and take a look at this, by the way. Okay, the concerning part is, look at there. That's tomorrow night into Thursday morning. Look what it's doing. It's sending those thunderstorms into that sub-freezing air. You have thunderstorms moving into sub-freezing air if you go with the HR. So that is very, 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 very concerning, folks. You do not want that to occur across the air here, and then it gets out of here by the time we get towards late Thursday evening and into the early part of your Friday morning here, folks.
And again,
so go ahead.
And again, right now, central Arkansas, right now, Little Rock.
Donna, yes, to answer your question, yes.
Little Rock, Benton Bryant, Malvern, Sheridan, Pine Bluff, Stuttgart, DeWitt, over towards Lone Oak, England, over towards Brinkley. This is the area that we have in that cusp line right now. If trends hold and we keep watching satellite data, we keep watching surface observations trending colder, we're going to bring this line down.
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing to consider, we're going to be watching the balloon soundings that the National Weather Services in Memphis and Little Rock and Tulsa all put up, because that's going to tell us what the atmosphere aloft is doing. If those temperatures are just 5 degrees colder than is currently on data, we could be talking about another sleet storm similar to what we had a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
But
so,
yes,
basically what you're looking at here, by the way, is the model run-to-run change here. So you can see what it's doing. You're talking -1, 0 in this area here. So you can see a colder trend with the computer model guidance at this point here, folks. But go ahead, Derek. I know that you're trying to answer that one question here. So I know everybody's kind of asking about what does a thunderstorm mean? What does it mean to have a thunderstorm over sub-freezing air? Basically, we get this in most cases. You see this more with this type of an environment versus snow. But you can get a thunderstorm moving into temperatures that are below freezing, and that's what causes the potential of thunder, freezing rain. That map that I showed you guys a second ago, this one right here, is the thing that I personally like to look at whenever we're trying to forecast the potential of thunder, freezing rain, or even in some cases when it's not even cold, the potential even regular thunderstorms. Okay, so this is what we look at, one of the products that we look at with this. So it's not a guarantee that you're going to see thunder, freezing rain, or anything like that. However, the one concerning thing with the HR is that has that potential, and if that happens, some folks are going to see a crippling ice storm out of this. That's my number one concern at this point here. So
let's
Jeffrey,
go back to our map.
Okay.
So let's go back to our map.
I was going to try to answer some questions while I can here.
Yeah. And so basically, okay, so I know. So basically, we're just going over everything, just based off of everything right now. This is our current, ongoing forecast. Where you see the purple, we very well could see a crippling ice storm. Now, I want to mention this also, and we're going to actually highlight this area too. I want to say Clinton, Mountain View, Melbourne up to Pocahontas. I think areas right along the edge on the wintry mix side too could also see 1/2 inch to 3/4 up to an inch of ice. I don't think we're going to see the crazy amounts that the data is showing off. We usually never do, but. That being said, and
it's still a wait and see, by the way, with that
it's still a wait and see. A lot of people asking about road conditions. Road conditions are going to be highly dependent upon temperatures. 32, 31 degrees. Most time 30 to 32, you are fine. Mainly wet roads. Your trees and your power lines.
Yeah, I would still be careful even with that.
Yeah.
Because in most cases your roads are going to be okay, but I would still try to take it easy on the roadways, because whenever we get winter weather and folks start traveling, that's where you start piling up the wrecks and stuff like that. So just kind of keep that in mind. Whenever you're dealing with freezing rain, just try to stay off the roads as much as you can, unless it's an emergency with that. But
anything below 30 is when your roads start getting bad. Anything below 28, all bets are off. And right now, the current ongoing forecast has temperatures in the mid to upper 20s for pretty much all of northern Arkansas, down to just around I-40, temperatures 28 to 32, basically from southwest Arkansas, northeast into the Memphis area, Jonesboro, just below freezing, and points north there. So again, that freezing line has creeped to the metro or just south of the metro, based on the current outlook. If trends continue, we could be talking about northern portions of central and further north dealing with all ice, maybe a little bit of sleet on the back end. And, same thing going for our folks. I know I had a lot of people asking about Cleveland County, Heber Springs area. I'm really concerned Heber Springs area, especially Heber Springs, Clinton, areas like that. We'll see a lot of ice out of this. This is a typical Arkansas ice setup event. Definitely. Is what this is.
Definitely. So, and I said before, down there in southern Arkansas too. Now, I want to talk about southern Arkansas for just a bit, because I know the majority down there, and then this is going to be primarily a cold rain down here, but I would say probably in southeastern Arkansas, where you do have that marginal risk and effect, I would not rule out a couple of strong thunderstorms down there. It just depends on how temperatures are, if the cold air can get down there a little quicker and stuff like that. any thunderstorms that get going down there in southern Arkansas and southeast Arkansas are going to be hail producers. We're not expecting any sort of tornadic activity or anything like that. It's not going to be a major severe weather threat down there in southern and southeast Arkansas. But those are going to be hailers down there in southeast Arkansas that we're going to have to watch here. So don't be shocked if we're dealing with a full-on ice storm across Arkansas, and then down in southeastern Arkansas, you may have a random severe thunderstorm warning or two down there just because these storms producing large hail down there as well here. So our map is user-friendly. All your cities are on there, all your counties on there, folks. You gotta know where your counties are. It's not only for severe weather, but winter weather as well. You gotta know where you stand with these maps. Okay, you gotta know where your counties are, and you gotta know the surrounding counties as well here. I know everyone's trying to prepare for this event. The one thing I want to tell you guys is kind of almost treat it like what you did with the last event. Okay. Go to the grocery store. We're not expecting this thing to be a prolonged event, okay? Because temperatures are going to be kind of moderating as you get towards later in the week and into the weekend. Now, we are watching that weekend system. However, we're not expecting this thing to kind of be a drawn out like what it was with the last event. So I would say Thursday, Wednesday night into Thursday, I wouldn't recommend travel, especially in areas that see and the winter weather across the
really all day
Thursday too.
So basically from noon Wednesday until Friday morning is when the most impacts are going to be felt. Because this will be a...
Hot Springs, you're on the map, by the way.
Especially for northern Arkansas and western Arkansas. And this is going to be a prolonged winter storm. Again, the biggest concern right now... the only question mark on this is going to be from that corridor from Ashtown and DeQueen into the metro into Memphis. This is the area that's under winter weather advisory for less amounts of ice right now. But again, fully expecting to see that change as we go a little bit further. I've seen folks asking also about, say, around Texarkana area and southern Arkansas. Right now, that light green area is mainly rain showers. However, I stress this. Guidance is
Texarkana area down there,
holding you
Arkansas,
at 33, 34 degrees.
Yep.
If that thermometer drops 3 to 4 degrees, we're talking about ice there as well.
Yep. So you guys down there in southern Arkansas, and I said before, down in South Arkansas, you guys are always on that teeter-totter. You know, you're always a degree or two just too warm here. And this is a situation, by the way, that you want a cold rain. You don't want to have to deal with ice with this event because not a lot of folks are going to be dealing with snow or anything like that. I would understand a little bit more if you were getting upset about snow, but this is ice. You do not want to deal with freezing rain with this setup, okay? Especially talking about the potential of thunder, freezing rain too. You don't want it. This is one of the situations that a cold rain doesn't sound all that bad. So just kind of keep that in mind down there in southern Arkansas here. If you guys see a cold rain down there, that's perfectly okay with this event. That means you're getting away from the ice. You never want to deal with ice because it causes a lot of issues across the area. Mark, too early to tell with that, by the way. I wouldn't compare it to that just yet. We'll just have to wait and see how this event evolves, and then we'll go from there here. But it's just kind of too early to kind of pinpoint.
Every time we talk ice, everybody compares to the 2000 ice storm, the 2009 ice storm. Again, I don't expect it to be anywhere near that.
Yeah.
To an extent.
We say that now. We say it now.
I said it now. You know,
it's still too early. Cause
the biggest concern I have is with this event compared to the last one is the amount of precipitation or the amount of moisture we have availability this time around.
Yep.
Because we're talking 1 to 3 inches of liquid equivalent rainfall.
Boy, you get temperatures. You get temperatures.
Best case scenario is this bus, and we see sleet for the northern half of the state.
Yep.
Best case scenario is the forecast is right for southern Arkansas, and we see all rain.
Yep.
Because last time we saw that freezing line get all the way down to areas like Camden, Monticello, Dumas, Pine Bluff,
it was just
Stuttgart. And we saw ice there. I don't see that happening this time around because, after all, we are rounding the calendar into the very end of February. We're also talking about the very end of meteorological winter. So, Cameron hates when I say this. Climatology speaking, you start to get that warmer air starting to try to come back in. However, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022 has taught us to go against climate on 9 out of every 10 times.
Yep.
But,
I keep trying to tell them that, by the way.
That means southeast Arkansas, yes, it'll be cold, but we will see mostly rain here with this event. The areas from Helena to Stuttgart to Texarkana, we are keeping our eye on, though, and changes could be seen.
Yep.
The greatest changes of seeing changes to this map, I expect, are in that light purple area where we have a freezing rain and rain mix.
I would probably bring that down. Yeah, we're going to, matter of fact, after this live stream, we're going to kind of confer and get that updated for you guys. So, Jessica, for those that are asking about the weekend, you should be good to go. I know everybody was kind of wondering about how the plans are going to be and stuff like that. You should be good to go by the weekend. Because as Derek said before, climatologically speaking, you are going to start warming up. You are going to have that bounce in temperatures here. But we will have to watch it close. It just depends on how much accumulation we deal with, etc. here. But what are the chances of this changing? Has things updated here? That's a good question. Things change constantly whenever you're dealing with winter weather or even severe weather. Things can change upwards to an hour out. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Freezing rain, by the way, is much worse than sleet. Okay, freezing rain is a completely different beast versus dealing with sleet. Sleet you can drive on. Sleet is something that's pat down. You can drive on sleet. It does cause road issues, but not terrible road issues. Yep. Freezing rain is where you start having the potential not only road condition problems, but also tree limbs coming down and into power lines coming down as well. Yep. Folks in southeastern Arkansas and eastern Arkansas, the last event, they can tell you freezing rain is a completely different beast to deal with in those areas here. That's when you're going to have those issues here. So those that are worrying about timing, by the way, and I'm going to repeat this. This is going to start right around 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning across western Arkansas. And then it's going to start pushing eastward throughout the day on tomorrow here. So conditions are going to gradually get worse as you progress into the afternoon and into the evening hours. And then as we get towards Thursday, this is going to continue all the way into what could be late Thursday evening and then a Thursday night here. So it should get started western Arkansas 9 a.m. tomorrow morning and then progressing throughout the natural state throughout the afternoon hours tomorrow.
Don't be shocked if some of us see a few snowflakes as this whole thing pulls out.
Yeah.
Because as the low pulls away, your cold air will deepen, and that's when we could see a few snow. Again, not expecting much of anything at all, but we could see a few snowflakes. As the precip moves out. Again, we don't control school closings. That's not up to us. Nope. We just post them as they come in, and there's not been as many this time around. However, I expect that to change. Again, for most of us in central, southwest, into east central Arkansas, tomorrow we should be okay. We're going to sit 33, 34, 35 during the day. However, as precip starts to move in, the temperature will start to fall. That's when we're going to start talking about that freezing weather. Everything's going to depend on that thermometer. How low we get tonight will also determine kind of what we see tomorrow.
Yeah, we're already
I'm concerned
let's take a look
that our temperatures fall too soon, then we could be talking about a whole different ballgame as we head throughout the day tomorrow.
Yeah, your freezing line is already in. So what's going on here is your freezing line. Let's take a look at that real quick. So for just a bit. So this is what we call the RTMA, or basically your real-time temperatures right now. So basically, you're looking at the temperature map at this point. Okay, you're already in the low 20s, by the way, in northern Arkansas, northwest Arkansas. Guidance busted bad up here. You were not supposed to be this low, by the way. You were not supposed to be this low up here in northwestern Arkansas. So keep that in mind. Next time we have an event like this, if you're day 4 and you're looking at model guidance and you're in late February and you're trying to figure out how temperatures are going to be, guidance is not going to be your best friend. It's not. Okay, guidance is not doing a nowhere near a good job with this. The only one that even came close was the Canadian model here, and I think temperatures are even colder than the coldest model we have on the market right now. So that's what's going on right now. There's just your freezing line here. So it goes from about Mount Home down to just west of Clinton at this point. It's going over the Red River, by the way. So you're at 34 in Russellville, 43 here in the metro, which, by the way, you're at 38 here in the weather center. And then your 32-degree line is over into the higher elevations right now. But you can see over the last couple of hours. Let's kind of back this up and see if it's going to let me back it up real quickly. So there it is. So there you can see what's going on here. Look, your cold air kind of sneaking around the mountain range up here. Okay, so that's something that we're going to have to watch. It's sneaking around. It's going on the back side of the mountain range here. So just kind of keep that in mind at this point. Temperatures are going to be falling rapidly as we get towards the overnight hours and the early part of your Wednesday morning. Go ahead there.
And, I know I saw somebody.
Tracy, yes, we are going to update the map tonight. I promise you.
I saw somebody asking also about as Saturday's event. We're going to wait and see. We're going to get through this one first. I don't think Saturday's going to be nowhere near what this one's going to be. If we do see anything, it should be mostly a rain, snow, or snow and sleet event on Saturday night. Again, not expecting much at this time. It's going to be one of those upper bowling ball lows, but again, not expecting much at this time. But we'll worry about that when we get through Thursday.
That's all you had to say was bowling ball low, and I just got I got PTSD from the last of it we dealt with the bowling ball low, and I don't want to go through that one again.
One thing else I do want to mention is Cameron and I do agree on one thing. If you saw the 7-day forecast that we posted earlier today, you saw the temperatures trending up next week. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I do believe this should be our last widespread winter weather event of the season.
Definitely.
I know this is going to be music to everybody's ears. Yes, will we have cold snaps? Yes. You typically get cold snaps all the way through March. But in terms of the widespread winter weather, as we round the calendar into meteorological spring on March 1st next week, I'm safe to say that this will be our last widespread winter weather event. And
hold him to that, by the way.
And widespread. Keyword is widespread. But
let me see here. So I'm going to tackle some questions here. So, Chris, thank you for that, by the way. We try our hardest, by the way, guys. That's why we don't, we always stay humble whenever we deal with these forecasts or whatever, because we're not going to be right 100% of the time. No one's ever right in the forecasting world. Weather changes even beyond all of our controls. So we work our behinds off trying to give you guys the most accurate one possible, but we're not always going to be 100% right here, guys. So, but I do appreciate those comments, guys. I really appreciate y'all trusting us with that. And yeah, Cheryl, the one thing that you have to look for with computer model guidance, and this is why we stress so much not to lean on guidance, because guidance never does well with Arctic air. You're in 2022, by the way, now. Okay, you would think guidance by now would have a better handle on it, but it doesn't. The Arctic air is always much stronger and much further south than what the guidance has. It's been the case with every other system we've had in the past. Some of your big ice storm events, your 2000 ice storm event, your 2009. I've studied the 2009 one. I know how guidance was leading up to the 2009 one. It was a complete nightmare trying to forecast that event, because guidance was warm, and all of a sudden got cold, and then that's where you saw your ice storm. So previous events, we've had the same problem as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. Whenever you're looking at guidance, always keep that in the back of your mind, that it's not going to be 100% accurate with the colder temperatures here. But I will say, the one model to use for this type of event is going to be the Canadian. If trends hold, I'm going to lean a little bit more on the Canadian than I have here. I haven't been looking at the Canadian that much here, but go ahead.
One thing I see a lot of people asking us about what they should do, for their job, for school, stuff like that. Again, we don't make those decisions.
Nope.
All we can do is give you a forecast, give you the best for forecast possible.
Yep.
Again, with these events, temperature is everything. If it stays 33 all day, you're going to get all rain. The roads will be great. If it stays 30 to 32, you may get some ice on the trees and power lines, but your roads may be okay. Now, if you get sleet, that's a different story. But with freezing rain, you tend to be okay until you get below 30. With sleet, it can be 33 degrees and accumulate on the roads if it falls heavy enough. So, with that being said, don't depend on us to make any decisions. But the biggest thing is, Arkansas weather. You know what it does. You know it tends to be colder than what guidance shows. So if guidance is showing 31, 32 right now.
Let's take a look at that, by the way. Go ahead.
I would not be shocked to see 28 to 30 by the time we get to the day of when precipitation starts falling.
Basically, what we're trying to tell you is if you have a kid that you're trying to take to school tomorrow and you have winter precipitation falling and you think the roads are bad, then don't do it. Don't travel. Go with your gut. Go with your parental instinct. If that's anything we're trying to say, because I know some schools are going to be closed, some schools are going to be open. Use your instinct. If you don't feel comfortable taking your kid out there, no one's going to judge you about it. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind here tomorrow, especially if they're in northern Arkansas. If your school's open, you don't feel safe traveling, don't do it. Okay, that's the Canadian. The 0Z's not going to come out for another hour.
Okay.
So it's trying to catch back up here, but I was going to kind of take a look at the Canadian model real quickly. So this is tomorrow, by the way, and the HRR is now trending even colder than the Canadian. It's trending colder than the coldest model. That's saying a lot, by the way. Okay, but my problem is this, and I'm noticing. You're going to have cloud cover in place tomorrow, northeast winds. We're going to have to watch that freezing line tonight. I am very worried. We're going to get to tomorrow. We're going to have cloud cover in place, and some folks are not going to get above freezing tomorrow.
Yep.
That's what I'm worried about across the area. That's something that we're going to have to watch very closely, because look back out towards north and west. You've got teens, you've got 20s, all that cold air in place. With cloud cover in place, you're liable to bust 2 to 3 degrees already, even without it being winter, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to watch that very closely for tomorrow. I got a gut feeling tomorrow, we're going to look at temperatures tomorrow afternoon, and not a lot of people are going to be above freezing unless you're in South Arkansas for tomorrow here. But basically, go ahead. Derek.
I do want to say that with this event, we might be... Last event, we had winds 20 to 30 miles per hour.
Yeah, and that's the Canadian, by the way.
This event, winds do look less than what we had with the last event. Only 5 to 10 miles an hour, gusts maybe as high as 10 to 15. So we're not worried about the winds with this event like we were the last one. What we are concerned about is, trying to get this forecast as accurate as possible for you guys to make the best decisions that you can make.
Yep.
With this event. And right now, even with the European model this afternoon and this evening, it trended colder as well. And it was one of those that was sticking on the warmer solutions. Again, we don't hug models. We never have and we never will. But based off of guidance and based off of experience and what we know.
Let's do this for a sample.
What we know with these past events, we know that typically Arctic air tends to be colder and deeper than what guidance shows.
Yep.
And it tends to come around the mountains. 9 out of every 10 times, it's gonna come around those mountains and make it a little bit colder into areas a little bit further south than what is currently anticipated.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, we don't issue watches and warnings. That's the National Weather Service offices.
Yep.
All we do is post them. So, therefore, that being said, winter weather advisory, winter storm warning, it doesn't matter. Treat the winter weather advisory just as serious as you would a winter storm warning.
Definitely.
Same thing we tell you is treat a severe thunderstorm warning the same as you would a tornado warning.
Exactly. So
winter weather advisory is basically the equivalent to basically a severe thunderstorm warning. Winter storm warning is the equivalent to a tornado warning, just different circumstances.
Yep. So, and talking about that, by the way, the winter weather advisory, definitely, because I know a lot of people see winter weather advisory not expecting much, and I've seen some crazy stuff go down in a winter weather advisory, guys. So just kind of keep that in mind here. Those advisories are out for a reason. They're out for travel. They're telling you be careful traveling and stuff like that. They're out for a reason here. But what you're looking at here on the map, and I have this pulled up, and Derek, you might want to look at this too. This is the comparison between the 0Z Canadian from last night to the 12Z today. And the number one thing I want to note, you see a bunch of zeros on this map. That tells me that the Canadian model has been a brick wall. Yep. It has not changed at all. It has been a consistent trend for the last couple of days here. Whenever you're looking at model guidance, and as Derek said before, we'll never hug a model, never will. But what you want to look for is this, okay? They always tell you in life, even if you stand by yourself, go with your gut instinct. And that's basically what you're looking at with the Canadian model. It's been a consistent trend over the last couple of days. It's been no changes, no flip-flopping, no nothing. It's been a consistent brick wall over the last couple of days. Now, it's been by itself. Yep. No one's really trusted. The problem is now all of a sudden, models are switching to that side. So, yep. Go ahead there.
Let's look at the accumulations.
Yeah.
Let's go look Canadian? At the freezing rain. Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people are wanting to see it. Again, this is from this afternoon, and this is actually
yeah, Cheryl, that's a good idea, by the way. If you need to see a bigger map, turn your phone. You'll be able to see the bigger map as well here. So you turn your phone sideways, you'll be able to see it at this point. And I know a lot of people are coming in kind of late. And Michael, dude, yes, I believe okay, we're going to have to start using the Canadian one a little more than we have been. Because the Canadian for the last couple of years has been kind of the outlier model that has been super aggressive with winter weather and never verifying. But now all of a sudden it's 2-0 against the GFS and the Euro right now. So something that we're gonna have to watch here. But this is concerning.
Don't buy the amounts. Don't buy the amounts up in north central and northeast Arkansas, because this would be absolutely devastating. This would be a devastating. You're talking.
Devastating is not even a word.
2 to almost 3 inches of ice. Remember when I was saying about the QPF amounts? That's what we call quantitative precipitation forecast. What that means is that's the amount of rainfall.
Amount of moisture
in the atmosphere.
Yep.
And basically, this would be the equivalent to having a rain event all ice. And notice, even then, it matches the NAM and the HR when it comes to the icing, and significant icing at that, all the way down into the metro and points east. Again, if anything, I would not be shocked to see ice storm warnings issued for parts of northeast Arkansas, north central, maybe accidentally as far south as I-40. I'm not. It's a wait and see for the metro points west.
I think some sort of advisory here.
Yep.
More than likely.
At least an advisory,
because the guidance is starting to trend colder and colder and colder. Let's talk about the sleet, by the way. Okay. So you're talking. By the way, you get, if anyone has never had the experience with freezing rain, 2 inches of freezing rain is deadly. That is beyond catastrophic ice storm up there. Okay. You never want to deal with almost 3 inches of ice. Okay. That's where you start talking historic ice storm criteria. I do not think that's going to happen. I think that's extremely aggressive. But the problem I have, and it's just what Derek just mentioned, all that moisture we're going to have with this event, with the cold air that's coming down, spells icing trouble. It spells trouble. And the best solution that we can have with this event is what you're seeing here, is sleet. Similar to the last event, you want sleet to overrun this freezing rain potential. You want it to happen. Mm-hmm. I tell everybody this that asks me about the difference between sleet and freezing rain. I will take a 3-inch sleet event any day versus a 2-inch freezing rain event, because sleet, it takes a while to melt, but it's doable. It's easy to work with. 3 inches of freezing rain will cripple you. It will take out your power. It will take out tree limbs. It will take out the roads, everything. Okay? So I will take sleet over freezing rain any day. Yep. All right? Allison, to answer your question, this is going to start tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We're going to have a time map, by the way. Yep. And this is going to move eastward. So I'm going to draw this out so you guys have a little visual of what the time map is going to look like. Okay? So 9 a.m. over here. Okay? 9 a.m. over here in western Arkansas. And then I would say probably from 11 to about 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. That's when it's going to start pushing into north central, and into southern Arkansas. And then over here, I would say probably 3 to 6 p.m. tomorrow evening over here in eastern Arkansas. Now keep in mind, this is start times. This whole event will not be done until late Thursday night and into the early part of your Friday morning here, guys. So that's kind of how timing would look at this point here. Go ahead, Derek.
All right, so everybody's asking us, okay, so this is a very good question from multiple followers here. Again, what is the difference and how do we get sleet, freezing rain, and snow cross-section of the atmosphere?
Yeah.
So basically,
bear me for a bit. Derek, you can stall me for a bit. I'll get that up.
So this is what I have gone over with every winter weather event. So welcome to Derek's weather class again. So again, you have multiple layers of the atmosphere, and you start at the surface where your temperatures are below freezing. Every layer of the atmosphere, you go up. The 850 millibar layer is what we call the dendritic growth zone. That's where we look for snowfall. There you go.
Yep.
And so basically,
I'm gonna take this time in this, by the way. All right, go ahead.
So basically, this is the layers of the atmosphere. To get snowfall, you have to be below zero. Excuse me, not below zero, below freezing in all layers of the atmosphere from the ground up. Now, with the snowfall thing, it can fall heavy enough in temperatures 33 to 35.
Yep.
But that means that your cold layer is like very, very, very deep with a very shallow, warmer surface. That's when you get those heavy, wet snows. Now, when you go to sleet, this is in that middle section. You have a very small, warm nose aloft. Basically, what we look for in the atmosphere, somewhere between the 850 millibar layer and the surface, you have, and really the 850 and 925 millibar layer.
I'll say you're 920. You're 850, yeah, because 925 is gonna be below freezing.
Yeah, that's what we look for. You basically snow aloft, and then it falls through. It falls through that warm air aloft. Typically, 1 to 5 Celsius, roughly give or take, is where we see sleet, because that's a very small warm nose aloft, and it falls through, and then it falls back into that sub-freezing air, and it refreezes.
Similar. This is what we saw in the last event. So basically, to kind of reiterate that, is when what we saw with the last event is we were forecasting this big warm nose that was in place, and we ended up with this because the cold air got here just like that. It saved the day. So will that happen again? Time will tell. Both of us have seen events where one we got really, really blessed, and the other one we paid the price. So it's a wait and see right now. But the biggest thing we need to hope for is that we get this versus this, because this is where your problems are going to be. Go ahead.
And now, this is where the forecast does get even more trickier. It's your surface temperatures, 32 and below. But you go aloft. You go just above your surface. Basically, what I say about the tree layer up is your temperatures are well above freezing. Sometimes, in the last event, I know there was an event in Jonesboro a few years ago where the forecast was snow, and they had a quarter to a half an inch of ice.
Because your aloft temperatures were like almost 60 degrees.
Temperatures aloft were in the 50s and 60s, but the surface we were down in the 20s. So we got straight ice out of that event. That's very hard to overcome, and usually you won't overcome that. What creates, you may ask, that warm air aloft is called Gulf moisture. The Gulf moisture overriding Arctic air. Arctic air is shallow and dense, and so what happens is that warm air can't really push into it, so it goes up and over. Warm air does not like competition, so it goes up and over that Arctic air. Depending how deep that Arctic air mass is, depends on whether you're going to get snow, sleet, or freezing rain, or in some places just plain rain. If it's a very shallow air mass, it typically gets blocked by the mountains or goes around the mountains. Hence why South Arkansas, you're going to see rain at 35. Meanwhile, West Arkansas and Central and North could see freezing rain and or sleet at 31 and 32.
Yep. I'm going to zoom this in so you guys, I didn't realize this thing was zoomed down as much as it was. But to kind of reiterate everything, so this map, by the way, extremely helpful here. So basically, all your precipitation types, and this happens in the summertime, whatever, all your precipitation types start as snow, which is pretty cool, right? Whenever it rains, even in the summertime, it starts as snow. Mm-hmm. But what happens is there's that too. But there's so much cold air, warm air in place, everything goes to rainfall here. So this is the majority that you're going to see down here in southern Arkansas. You're just going to have too much warm air down there in South Arkansas to produce freezing rain. This means you're above freezing throughout the entire column. This is what we mean about the column. Like, your entire column is above freezing. That means the snow is melting, turns into raindrops, and you say just a pure rain. This is the problem right here. This is where the forecast gets tricky, right in here, okay? You're trying to forecast, and even in some cases, you can see here, this is a great graphic, by the way. for the National Weather Service. But you can see where in some cases where you have that tricky area of margin of error, you have both freezing rain and sleet at the same time because of your temperatures at 925 and at the surface. So you can get that sometimes too. You can just get either pure freezing rain, pure sleet, or you can get a combo of both, which most guys is trying to throw out with this event. Is that it's a combination of both freezing rain and sleet, and then of course all snow, no warm air, and that's where you have.
In some cases, I've seen all three types at the same time. And we actually, to an extent, saw that with the last event in parts of central and southern Arkansas, where we had all three falling at one time. Again, it's rare, but it is possible. Again, with this event, I don't see much snow. Maybe in the northwest corner of the state, as we mentioned. Can you pull up a sample sounding off of one of the models that we look at? Now, this is for you. This is what you can look at and understand the atmosphere. When we start looking at stuff, we call what we look at a sample sounding of the atmosphere. That does.
Any particular model you want to look at?
One that has your freezing rain and sleet on there, and also shows our surface temperatures and the warm nose aloft.
Okay. All right.
Basically,
that's coming right up, boss.
This is what we look at. We as forecasters look at when we're looking for to see the different type of freezing. Again, most people on Facebook, they'll just look at a model, post it. Oh, guess what? This is what's going to happen. This is how in depth we go when doing winter weather.
A lot of sleepless nights, by the way. A lot of sleepless nights. This right here, root beer, is your best friend.
Let's pull this up on the screen. Okay, so what you're looking at, Cameron, if you can tell me where this is from.
This is in central Arkansas, high-res NAM, and this is right around, I believe, our 9Z, which is about 3 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning, the early part of your Thursday morning. So this is like overnight hours.
All right, so
during this point.
Now then, let's show. So basically,
I'm going to zoom this down so everybody can get a little bit of a view.
So this is what we look at in the atmosphere. You see the blue line. The blue line that goes diagonal to the left. That is your freezing line.
Yep.
Now, if you look, you see the red line and green line. Red line is temperature. Green line is dew point.
Yep.
You see those are just right below, barely below freezing. Temperatures 30, 31 degrees. Again, this is based off of the current model that has us sitting at 31 degrees in the metro. Now, look up you see that strict warm, the strict right turn in the atmosphere. That is what we call a warm nose aloft. If you remember your graphic, you saw warm air coming in from the left. This is the same exact thing we look at here. This is what we look at, and when we see a warm nose like this, you're talking a warm nose almost roughly 20 degrees Celsius. So this is going to be upwards of almost 50 to 60 actual air temperature just above our heads.
Yep.
The white line at the bottom is a surface. This is about 925 or so. Again, this is a freezing rain sounding is what this is. And this is what we look for when we start looking for
freezing rain and sleet.
This is what we start looking for.
That's going to be because here's your 925, by the way. Your 925 is like literally right there at it, so it's freezing rain. You could even argue that this may be a freezing rain sleet mix in this area here. But the number one thing that you want to kind of look at, like Derek mentioned before, is one, what this is called, by the way, is what's called warm air advection. So for those that are it's about 400 people on here now. This is what basically you're looking at, what we look at. It's fine. They're learning. But this is what we call warm air advection. Basically, this is what you look at for trying to figure this forecast out here, okay? So your blue line, there's your freeze line, by the way. So you're at 31 degrees. A lot of warm air, by the way. But my concern, by the way, is this. That's what's called the most unstable cape. You are at 514. Yep. Folks, you need 2. You just need 2 for thunder. That's it. You get 514, that's when you start talking about thunderstorms. That's where you start getting thunderstorms drawn into that cold air here. And this, basically, if you want to look at this, to be honest with you, this is a thunder freezing rain sounding that you're looking at. Because, and you can even see here, up here towards your 500 and your 700 here, where you're having the instability. The parcel levels are starting to come in too. So that's what you're looking at for that potential.
Don't worry about the squigglies on the right side. That's what we look at for severe weather.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
So we're gonna X this out, by the way.
Yeah, we're gonna. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about this over here.
Yeah, we worry about that for severe weather.
Yeah.
This is what we look at for winter weather. Now, if we're talking severe weather, we look at everything on this. And again, the National Weather Service has this in real time info that we look at on the day of winter weather events. Then we pull their sounding up and compare it with the model data to see exactly how close, how far everything is. And what we've seen so far with surface observations is that things are colder than what guidance has it. So with that being said, the warm air advection may be a little bit overdone, but again, our concern is for stout warm air advection just above the surface, but very cold air advection at the surface, which is going to lead to an icing event. Now this is in central Arkansas. As you go further north, the warm nose gets less and less and less.
Yep, and what I'm doing right now, because this is going to load up here, so we're going to show that one for central Arkansas. Everybody's kind of commenting their cities, wanting their sounding pulled up. We're not going to be able to get to every single one, but this one right here is a classic
sleet.
Rain. I would say rain with this rain/sleet. Rain/sleet. This is in South Arkansas.
Yep.
So this is the sounding that I personally like to call the El Dorado Special. I like to call this sounding the El Dorado Special because this is basically, you're literally right on the line.
Yep.
You're basically right on the line for either seeing a cold rain or a significant icing event. This is basically looking at a line of those two potentials right here. You can't get any worse than this. Okay, so basically what Derek was talking about before is you have that warm air coming in. So there's your warm air loft coming in at this point. Okay, so there's your warm air coming in, okay, and then you drop almost below freezing. This is rain, maybe a little bit of sleet kind of thrown into this. I wouldn't be shocked, especially with it being so close to the surface. But this is rain, and even in some cases, look at your most unstable cape. This is probably a thunderstorm sounding, an elevated thunderstorm sounding down there in southern Arkansas. This is in El Dorado, by the way. So this is what we're talking about. That's the difference between the first one you saw and then the other one.
Let's go look at North
as well here. Okay.
Let's pull one from up, say, around the northern Ozark Mountains. So just to give you an idea here. Now, we're going to pull this one out of northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
Now, for you folks in Fayetteville, Rogers, Bentonville, Springdale, this is in your area. And Richie, the first one we pulled was
in Central. That was in Central Arkansas. That was in Little Rock.
Now, here's the flip side of this coin. You still have that warm nose aloft, but it's nowhere near as stout as it was. This is more of a snow and sleet sounding versus sleet and snow.
Another thing I'm concerned about too, and I'm gonna have to keep a close eye on northern Arkansas here. Now, I know you guys are under the winter. I know you guys are under the winter storm warning up there. Okay, I have seen situations, especially with a 1044 millibar high, that your low, because this low is much weaker compared to the one we dealt with a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so it's not gonna fight back north as much as the last system did. Okay. I have seen situations before in the past where your dry air up here in northern Arkansas erodes your precipitation. I have seen that happen before in the past. Basically, this sounding right in here, what you're seeing, this big gap, that is a lot of mid-level dry air up here in northern Arkansas. That means any precipitation that's falling is going to really, really evaporate before it gets to the surface, okay? So this is the one we're concerned about up here in northwestern Arkansas. This is pure snow, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, snow/sleet up here in northwestern Arkansas, because you can see where your temperature's kind of at 850, you're above freezing, and then you rapidly fall below, and you're well below back here, okay? So this is a sleet and snow sounding up here, but I've seen situations like that before where you've had that area kind of have a lot of dry air and end up with the B word. But
so now we have northeast Arkansas folks wanting to see us sounding. This is what happens when we get started on this type of thing. We still have 400 people in. Again, this is the back end of our live stream. We've gone over all the information. Now we're giving you kind of what we look at to compare forecast. Again, This is just going to show you we're not some, slap of the earth page or just, popped up. We study so much stuff.
Oh.
And again, now this is in Northeast Arkansas.
That's concerning.
And this is a classic freezing rain sound.
That is a classic freezing. As a matter of fact, that's a thunder freezing rain sound because look, your most unstable one. That's up there in Northeast Arkansas. I pulled that, Allison, from Independence County up there in Northeastern Arkansas. So this is concerning. Okay, so basically, first of all, no dry air at all. There's no dry air because your red line and your green line is literally right there together. Okay, so there's no
moist column.
I hate that word so much.
Very moist.
Anyways, there's a line moving through. Okay, so you can see right at 8:50 you get to almost 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, and then you drop below freezing rapidly. But the problem is when you drop below freezing, you're at the surface. You're basically where you're at right now. Okay, so that is a very, as a matter of fact, given you can take a look at this too. There's your most unstable cape down here, 359. This is a classic thunder freezing rain sounding up here in Independence County. That's up there in northeastern Arkansas. Boy, that is something. And you're at 29 degrees too. So you're at 29 degrees with heavy freezing rain, thunder freezing rain as well. And I had a question earlier that what does thunder do with winter weather? Basically, whenever you have thunder freezing rain, it accelerates your freezing rain totals. It basically can give you from what could be a quarter of an inch of ice upwards to an inch of ice, just like that. It's just like dealing with a regular thunderstorm. So that is a very concerning sound.
And again, we're not going to go over, everybody asking for a sounding here, a sounding there. We're not going to do all that. But that's what we want to do is show you what we look at when we're forecasting winter weather. This is what we look at. We look at the cross section of the atmosphere. We look at where everything is, where the moisture content is, where the temperatures are, where the warm nose is. We look at all this when we come out with a forecast, just to show you guys exactly how we come up with a forecast, and also we compare this to real-time data on the day of. And that's something we're going to be watching over the next 12 to 24 hours as this event really gets started.
And it's going to be getting started out here in West Texas, and then it's going to start pushing eastward here. So we are going to be up a little bit during the overnight. I'm going to be up during the overnight hours at least, kind of give you guys a little bit of an update here and there. But that's
something if y'all want us to. We're gonna we'll sit down and talk about it. We have a lot of stuff coming up. But if you want us to, we will start doing Cameron Derek's Weather School on our YouTube page at some point in the near future as we head towards spring.
Well, yeah, I heard you.
And, just to teach y'all a little bit about sound names, a little bit, about reading the data, stuff like that, just stuff we kind of go over. So if you want us to do it, let us know. We'll be happy to. Something just another idea that we can do, especially as we head into the summer when it's completely boring.
Definitely.
But once again, let's go back to our forecast one last time, just to give y'all an update exactly on what. And here we go with the couch again. And once again, just to let everybody know, again, there's a winter storm warning in effect.
Where is that?
There is a winter storm warning in effect, and that is in effect for right now. And the reason being that's in effect for starting in the morning is because it's going to start in the morning and go throughout the day on Thursday.
Matthew, I saw that model, by the way. It is the worst case scenario. I'll just put it that way. Honestly, it's a wait and see. Definitely a wait and see. But honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if it verified, to be honest with you. It's something, like I said before, the Canadian model has been something that has been a brick wall. It's been a consistent model for the last 5 days. It's basically, the Canadian model is a comparison to somebody trying to yell at you for the past 5 days, and you just ignore it, and then you have other people trying to come in and say something. So that's basically it. So it's the Canadian model has been saying this over and over and over and over and over again for the last 5 days, and it now has its buddies, the other computer model guy that's listening in at this point here, guys. So
once again,
let me see. Somebody said he has. Okay, so Hot Springs, folks. Let me kind of reiterate something about these graphics. Okay, So you got to know where your cities are, you got to know where your counties are, and you got to know where you are on the map, okay? Hot Springs, we've gone over you guys a million times in Hot Springs. The potential of freezing rain / sleet is on the table in those areas, okay? Sleet's probably more of an end type of event, but more of a freezing rain event down there in the Hot Springs area, okay? But you gotta know where you stand with these maps, guys. We make these maps, takes a lot of effort going into these maps, okay? You gotta know where you stand with these maps, folks. That's the only thing I can tell you at this point here. So, Vicky, go ahead, Derek. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. So once again, just going over the forecast.
Yeah. Sherry, that's a good point, by the way. Leaving your water dripping.
Yep. So once again, right now, just off the current forecast.
Yep.
Anywhere we have, basically in the pink area in northern Arkansas into northeast Arkansas, minimum 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice plus.
Yep.
Now.
And we're going to work on accumulations.
Yeah, and we're going to update our accumulation map here as we go, especially as we head into the morning hours.
Ain't that the truth?
Again, the freezing rain area, the purple area, I am concerned about significant freezing rain accumulations. Maybe not necessarily towards the southern extent of it, but definitely the central and northern extent of that area, from basically like over towards Mount Ida, Danville, especially into northeast Arkansas, places like Heber Springs, Batesville, Searcy, Conway, Romance, BB, up towards Newport, Jonesboro, places like that. Not all, but most could see significant ice accumulation up there, 1/2 inch plus, especially as the temperatures continue to come in, if they start continuing to go colder like they have been so far.
Yep. And another thing we're going to kind of talk about too, and I want to kind of talk about this too, because I know a lot of people are going to see this on the map, and it's going to immediately go in what's called hype mode. We're probably going to sit down, look at computer model guidance, but I'm going to be honest with you. If trends hold, don't be shocked if we highlight an area for the potential of thunder freezing rain. Just don't be shocked. My concern that I have right now is you have a marginal risk in southeast Arkansas, and you have a general thunderstorm threat across much of Arkansas at this point as well. That tells me you're going to have a lot of aloft instability with this system, okay? Kind of keep that in mind, that we're going to have to watch that close, because if you start seeing thunder freezing rain, that's going to accelerate your totals. Your totals is going to be an all bets off situation if that happens.
Yep.
Okay, so this is something that we're going to study heavy with the computer model guidance and with the soundings that you just saw. Right now, I don't feel confident in doing it, but if I continue to see those 300, 400, 500, even some cases 600 instability across the area aloft, we will pull that trigger. We will pull that trigger across the area here. But right now, I think the better call is this. But we're going to see what happens during the overnight hours and the first thing tomorrow morning. If you see that first thing in the morning, don't be shocked, just to be on the safe side here. But we'll watch it closely.
Yep. And again, obviously, we always stress this with every event.
Yep.
Changes are likely to occur, and they most likely will. Again, the trend has been colder. We expect that to stay. We forecasted this from the start. We stayed below guidance on the forecast coming into the event. And again, we are sticking with the idea that is going to be the case going forward. Colder, less than warmer.
Richie, I'm going to answer that comment. That's going to be a no. And that's going to be a strict no. And there's a lot of meteorological reasons why that will probably never happen. I've seen that. Haven't we seen that before? We've had a thunderstorm warning with freezing rain before.
December 2012.
December 2025.
Winter storm.
Okay.
Christmas winter storm.
Okay, his memory is better than mine, so I apologize for that.
Yep, we had a thunderstorm warning, ironically, for hail during a temperature that's about 29-30 degrees with freezing rain falling.
Learn something every day.
again, we don't have a timing map up yet. We have gone over timing. But
it's going to start about 9 a.m.
Draw your timing out on this map here, so we give everybody a good idea.
I was going to say I don't think it's going to let me, but
that sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. But what we can do, we can go back here. Okay, so we're going to kind of go back here, give you guys like a blank map, and memory for just a bit, and we're going to draw this out because this is going to get posted, by the way. Okay, so western Arkansas through here, that is for Mena, Fort Smith up towards Fayetteville. I would say the potential right around 9 to 11 a.m., okay? And folks, keep in mind, like I said before, I'm learning something new every day. Honestly, I didn't even know that has happened here. So much has happened in 1 year, it's not even funny. So, 9 to 11 a.m. over here in western Arkansas, and then over towards central Arkansas and into eastern Arkansas. This area right here, okay? So we're talking the metro, we're talking Mount Home, down towards, I would say, Hot Springs, Texarkana. We're going to go from right around lunch tomorrow, okay, to about, and this is start times, by the way. So lunch over here, by the way, and then we're going to go probably to 3 p.m. in this area, okay? So these are start times, okay? So that's the area here. Mind my drawing, by the way. All right. And then over here in eastern Arkansas, I would go from 3 p.m. to right around 7 p.m. in this area, okay? That's what I would do in this area over here in eastern Arkansas. That's what I would watch.
Start time.
And these are start times, by the way. This is not for the entire event.
Keep this in mind. This is going to last. Once it starts, you're going to have precipitation, most likely ongoing through Thursday evening. And so that's a concern that this could be a prolonged event, especially from Mena to Conway to Jonesboro. This could be a prolonged event. Again, reason why I'm not saying the metro, because the metro could switch back and forth several times throughout this event between freezing rain and rain, maybe even freezing rain and sleet and rain. So we're going to have to watch it. You know, my hope is that everything trends colder like it did with the last event, and I think that might be the case again. We could see more sleet. I think this one's going to be more of an icing event than the last one was. You know, I've talked to several of our friends and the people that we coincide with to come up with, you know, to make sure we're pretty much all on the same page, folks. As Southern Plains weather authority,
Kevin, Michael,
Paul,
definitely.
the weather guru as well. We're all pretty much in agreement that some sort of ice is going to fall down into central Arkansas. The biggest question is how much.
Yep.
And how cold temperature is going to be. That's the biggest question with this event. We also agree this is going to be more of an ice event, less of a sleet event than the last one was. For northern Arkansas, less snow this time, but more sleet.
And the problem I have, like I said before, in northern Arkansas, we're going to have to watch. Now, I don't think this is going to be a big issue, but the problem is, as Kevin, you see Kevin's comment in the live stream. He's making a good point. The problem you have with dew points being that far low right now, okay, is that when precipitation starts, it's not going to immediately hit the ground because you got so much dry air in place. So this is where temperatures are going to bust because your dew points are so low. Okay, so I'm going to take this off for just, well, as a matter of fact, give me a second. Let me see if I can do this, okay? So
I want to reiterate this. We don't make the call on watches and warnings.
No, we do
not. Would I be
not.
shocked to see the winter storm warning expand? It's happened more times than I can count. Again, I wouldn't be shocked to see it expand further south as we get a little bit closer. Would not be shocked to see it expanded in the morning as far south as Garland County, Faulkner County.
Yep.
With the winter weather advisory as far south as Saline, Grant, Jefferson, places like that. Would not be shocked. Again, would also not be shocked if it doesn't get issued till last minute. Again, our National Weather Service office works as hard as they can to get this right. Forecasting winter weather in this state is not easy at all.
Yep, definitely. All right, so Cheryl, you asked the question that 12 days make a rethink my scheduling for tomorrow. Cheryl, to be honest with you, I probably would, just to be on the safe side, because the problem I have is this, okay? And what you're looking at here, this is real-time dew points right now, okay? So dew points are already below freezing here in the metro. They're already below freezing across much of Arkansas and into western Arkansas at this point, okay? Southern Arkansas is the exception, of course. But my problem is this. Let's take a look at this real quick. So your dew point and your temperatures right now. So dew point, let's take Little Rock for example. 37 degrees. You can confirm that here in the Weather Center. 37 degrees, dew point 29. Okay? Precipitation is going to start falling, and your dew points are going to match up with your temperatures. The problem is that there's a significant break. And remember something, we were supposed to start seeing precipitation a couple of days ago. We were supposed to be seeing precipitation as early as late tonight and the early part of your Wednesday morning, which why guidance was originally warm because it started the precipitation early. The problem I have right now is that there's no precipitation.
No two events are ever alike, but this is almost exactly the same situation we ran into with the last event.
Where your cold air got here quick.
With the precip starting at overnight, and the cold air allowed plenty of time to get here.
Yep.
Again, there's a lot of things that we got to watch. There's a lot of things we're going to be watching over the next couple of days. Cameron will be in the weather center the next couple of days. I'll be in the evenings, and then of course we're going to be watching this throughout the day, throughout the night. As always, we thank you for joining us and trusting us. We're going to keep you there. We're not going to. It is coming up at 10 o'clock hour, so we are going to let you go. I know it's a long stream, but a lot of information that we had to go over.
Definitely.
And a lot of information to come over the next couple of days. No 7-day outlooks tomorrow or Thursday. We will resume those on Friday, and a look at what could be a very spring-like forecast as we head into March. But we'll worry about that once we get through this upcoming winter storm and the potential of another winter weather event on Saturday night. We thank you for joining us and trusting us right here on your source for all things Arkansas weather.